Welcome to Imprint, a podcast about creating a home and life you love. I'm Natalie Walton, an interior designer, stylist, and best-selling author focused on an holistic approach to homes. Each week, I'm sharing insights and interviews about the creative process to help you enhance both your interiors and well-being, as well as provide you with the tools and resources to make considered and sustainable choices with all that you create. Hello everyone, welcome to Imprint. I am really looking forward to sharing some reflections from 2024 with you today. And I'm going to share these because, well, quite frankly, it's because they're the types of episodes that I really enjoy listening to. I really enjoy listening when other people share an insight into their own journey because it helps me really get clarity on what's most important to me. And so I hope that this helps you in that sense because it is kind of a little bit strange to be talking about my own year and why that might be relevant to you. But I do think that when we hear other people's stories, when we hear other people's journeys, it can really reflect back to us what we value most. And sometimes it can reflect back, actually, no, that's not what I want to do, or that's not important to me in this season. And sometimes it can really reinforce our values and we can see, yes, that's important to me too. And that's something that I want to make a priority. Or you can sort of see how you want to live or what you want to consider. And like I said, reflecting back to you in some capacity. So that is what I hope this episode is going to be for you. It's going to be maybe an opportunity for you to think about some of the big lessons that you have enjoyed over the past year. And we have just shared last week on the podcast a way to really reflect and reset so you can set yourself up for success in 2025. So if you haven't listened to that episode, you might want to listen to it after this one because it's sort of, they're very much, two bookends in the way of the year, in terms of like just really reflecting, reviewing, and then resetting. Okay, so before I started recording this episode, I actually went into the kitchen to speak to my husband because when we're both working at home, he works often at the kitchen table. I come to the studio. I mean, certainly that's the story today because I'm recording the podcast and that's where I like to do it. Less distractions. You don't have to hear the cows mooing and all the things that go on with country life. And I wanted to go over our numbers again because I do think that when it comes to the end of a year, it's really, if you do have a creative business, it's so important to look at the data and look at the numbers because we can make so many assumptions about what is going on in our business or our life. And the same true, if it's health related or if it's to do with other areas of your life, still look at the data. If it comes to your health, like get blood tests, the results don't lie in terms of what's going on with your health. That was one of my priorities for this past year was to start to get a better grip on my own personal health. And I got, all the bloods done and just wanted to really get a baseline result so I could see how that was evolving and changing over the years. As always, my iron is a little bit low. I mostly am vegetarian. I occasionally eat a bit of meat. I really hate taking tablets in terms of iron tablets. And so that is something that I still need to work on, but I didn't have any problems with anything else in terms of my blood sugars, in terms of my cholesterol, all of those things are still really good. Which is great, and so many of the other markers. So that was definitely a big milestone for me. And I actually went and got my mammogram, all those women health checks that you need to do that I have been putting off for so long. And I really, that is something that I'm going to be doing this coming year is scheduling all of those things at the start of the year so that, life doesn't get in the way because it's so easy for those things to slip by. So, that is just one of those things of like reflecting on the year, kind of going, yep, okay, it's really important to look at the data because that does give you a benchmark in terms of what you can improve. And you can start to spot trends as well. And actually, that's what we were doing is that before I started to record this podcast, we were looking at, what has been our numbers over the past few years and also starting to look at some projections. So if we continue to do the same type of growth as what we have done in our business this year, how that's going to be setting us up for long-term success. And one of the big things that is, really on our minds, as my husband is about to turn 50, I am a few years off that as well. And so, we are in a season of our life where we really need to be planning for the future. And we have, done and achieved so many things in our lives. And we have, really had an amazing life that we're really grateful for. We've lived overseas, we've traveled a lot, we've traveled the world, many times over. I've created books. We've got 4 healthy and happy children, which we, obviously we love them dearly. We've got an amazing community of friends all around us. We've got property investments, we've got our own home, so we've got so many things that we are really grateful for. And, but it's really helpful to look at the numbers, because you can start to see both the trends of the past. So we were looking back over the past couple of years to see, okay, so many people are talking about how this has been a tough year. And look, for some of you, it might have been a tough year. But that doesn't mean to say that next year has to be a tough year. And so I just want you to know that, we have experienced growth in both areas of our business. In both Imprint House, we have had a great year, and that's retail and also, online e-commerce. We've had a great year at Imprint House, and we've also had a great year on what we call Team Walton, which is, the courses side and education side and design side of my business as well. So, I just want to give you hope that, people are spending out there, people are buying out there, that there is opportunity, and, you are just as capable of experiencing growth in your business as what I have within my business. I'm not some, special person that there are exceptions for me. No, I've had to be really strategic about it. We've had to really be smart about some of the choices and the decisions that we've made. And, I'll be sharing some of those big lessons today in today's podcast with you. But what I would say to you, just in very, very simple terms, is to really, within this idea, the first big idea that I want to share with you is just less but better. It is so easy for us as creatives, and this is a lesson that I come back to over and over again, that we get new ideas and, I could do this thing and I can do that thing. And, we try so many different things. And look, there is not necessarily something wrong with trying, but it's so important to look at the numbers and just really pay attention to them and what's working and double down on that. We don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. We don't have to keep doing new things, but instead look at what is the opportunity that is right in front of you. How can you optimize what you're already doing? Because you've already put so much work into setting up whatever it is that you're doing right now. How can you leverage and make more from what you're already doing? And this kind of ties in with the Pareto principle, which I've spoken about before, this idea of you get 80% of your results from 20% of your actions. So what is that for you? What is that area that you're getting 80% of your results? How can you double down on that? And really, focus on what's making you money and cut what doesn't. That is literally, my husband said that as we were going through the numbers, and I was asking him, what did he think were some of our biggest lessons from 2024? And that is literally what he said. And I typed it into my document and I'm sharing it with you now, which is focus on what's making you money and cut what doesn't. There are so many activities that we do in our business that are not making us money, and we just need to let those go. And, we have made some big changes in 2024 in our business. And, it wasn't easy. It took a lot of time and effort, but for my husband in particular, it's freed up a huge amount of mental headspace. And, it really is opening the door for this next chapter in our lives, which we're really excited about. So, for you, I would really encourage you to really think about how can you focus on less but better in your business? What are those areas that are really helping you to reach your revenue goals? I mean, we had a 31% increase in revenue in the Team Walton side of our business. And, that is just going to keep improving because we've got some big changes coming up. So, it's like I said, I want you to know that it is possible. And I just honestly, when you do fewer things, but do those things better, and obviously make sure that those are the things that are working and bringing you money, it really is the key to success. Okay, the second big lesson that I've experienced this year is the importance of connecting with your creativity. So really thinking about, when are you in a flow state in relation to whatever it is in your area of your business. And what we want to be working towards, and this is what we are working towards in our business, is for all of us to really be working in our genius zone. So what is the area where we have expertise, where we're really good? So on the Team Walton side of the business, I know that I'm in my flow state when I'm creating. And I mean, I'm creating content for my programs, I'm creating spaces for clients. When I am deep in that creative process, that's why I don't mind, so many people say, oh, Instagram and so on. I actually enjoy the creative process of creating content for Instagram, in terms of I like the grid to look a particular way. I think it's fun to create reels if I'm styling or doing, even editing and how it's all going to cut together. Even writing sales copy, I know so many people hate writing, sales copy, but I actually enjoy the challenge of writing a sales page, really sharing and focusing on, what is the value? How is this program going to help somebody? Or how is this service going to help somebody? I love creating design proposals for clients, really sort of showcasing in a beautiful visual way how they can go on this journey and the result that they're going to experience as a result of that. I love creating content, whether that is for clients, whether that is for my programs, whether that is spaces. I really love that creative process of bringing elements together to create something at that next level. And so, I want you to think about, what is that for you? When do you feel in that flow state? I know that for my husband, it's in a spreadsheet. He loves, I ask him a question and then quickly, he's typing in formulas into the cells in a Google sheet, and, working out these quite complex formulas to give us data. I'll say, well, what about this? Then, out of these ones, which is our bestseller? And it was actually really interesting to look at because, it's actually starting to shift a little bit. And so, he is really great at spreadsheets. He started creating flowcharts for the different systems and processes in our business. And that is the way that his brain thinks. And then I've got someone else on my team, and she is amazing with kind of really understanding the marketing technology around our business and really optimizing our business in that capacity. And so it's just, we all bring something different, but she's also actually really, really great when we're in meetings and brings a perspective that, I am sometimes too close to my business to be able to see it. And she has amazing insights in terms of, sometimes we're discussing ideas about, the direction of something or how we can create a particular offer or a program. And I'm literally, as she's speaking, I'm just typing like crazy because everything she says is gold. So, we really need to think about, what is it for you? When you do a particular activity, you feel like you're in a flow state. It feels easy. It feels effortless. You really feel like you're in your zone of genius. And for me, really connecting with my creativity, that has been, to make sure that I stay in that zone and don't get too caught in the other areas. That's been really important for me. And towards the end of this year, I've started working with interior design clients again. And I've done little bits here and there, but sort of doing more extensive projects. And I've really enjoyed that. So, I think it's so important that we do connect with the things that we love. But I mean, you might be thinking, but didn't you just say less but better? And that is true. But you've got to, if you take something, you've got to take something off your plate if you want to put something on your plate. And I have done that in my life and my business this year. And like I said, I'll share more about that soon. but you've got to be able to create the space if you're going to be doing something new. But I do think there's also much to be said for really focus on the area where you specialize. And so if you're not great at design drawings, for instance, then outsource that. You don't have to even hire a new employee. You can get a contractor. So, these are different things that you can do within your business. The third area that I have really learned, and I sort of thought it might be helpful for you to think about in relation to your year as you reflect on it, is to embrace your season. So I've touched on this a little bit already, but for us, our children are getting older. I mean, of course, but they are in a different season and we're getting older. We don't want to be hustling. We don't want to be setting ourselves up for success. Well, we want to be setting ourselves up for success, for long time health and wealth that really fit in with our lifestyle. And so when I was talking to my husband about this, he was saying, this is why, because I was giving the example of somebody else who I was listening to her podcast, and that I actually appreciated her perspective because she's a woman in her 50s. And he was saying, this is why he doesn't just take business advice or doesn't like to necessarily listen to podcasts from just anyone. He wants to be listening to people who are either ahead of him in terms of the season of their life, or they're in a similar season, versus listening to somebody who's, in their 20s and they don't have kids. Well, they don't understand what it's like to be home, and you're at home in the evening and you've got your children around and you want to spend quality family time with your children. It's so important to really connect and kind of be aligned in terms of what season you're in when you're getting advice off other people, because I just think there ends up being a huge disconnect, and that's when you can really fall out of alignment and you can start to feel really less than as well. And you might think, well, how are they getting this result, or why is their life looking like that? Well, they're just in a completely different season to you. And this is something that I have to remind myself as well. But certainly, we've been on a big season within our lives of simplifying on many fronts. We've really been letting go of what doesn't serve us so that we can make way for what does. I've sold my car. We sold our caravan, which we've had for a number of years, which, you buy these things and you think that you're going to have them forever sometimes, and you might really love them. I love my car. I mean, it sort of died a bit of a slow death. But it was time to let go of it, even though I was actually really sad, because I do love my cars, because I choose them very intentionally. And the same with the caravan. We've had so many trips and happy memories in that caravan, traveling up and down the east coast of Australia. It enabled us in many ways to be able to live where we are now, because we would travel up and come and look at properties and then travel back down on the caravan. And we added an extra bunk, but the kids are just too big. I mean, it was a 16-foot caravan. We added an extra bunk, but really we physically had outgrown it. And, our children are getting older as well in terms of what we do. So that's all changing. And it's really important to think about, what season you're in. And so for us, we are really embracing the season that we're in. My husband is about to turn 50. I'll be there in a few years. What we're thinking about and what we're doing and what's a priority. Our health is a huge priority at the moment. It's so important as you reach these middle years of your life that you really focus on strength training, and that you focus on, setting yourself up for a long and healthy life. And that is a huge priority. Our children are so much more conscious and aware of what we do and how we spend our time. And so if I am on the computer, if I need to pop on an evening, they're asking me about it, and they don't like that. Whereas when they're younger, they're at bed at 7 o'clock, or, my children were just kind of oblivious to some of the work requirements that I had. And, if I was traveling for a book, or if I was going, into Sydney to do photo shoots, or traveling to do photo shoots. And they just, because they were so wrapped up in their own world, whereas they're so much more awake now. They're so much more awake to the world and conscious as children. And as they're sort of all in those sort of teens and tweens years, it's definitely a season in our life where, I want to spend time with them. This time is going to go really, really quickly. And so it's really important for me as both a mother and also a business owner to really create the kind of life that is in alignment with the type of person that I want to be, the type of mother that I want to be, the type of business owner that I want to be. And so, I think that it's important to just really recognize what your season is. And look, we have definitely had, and I have personally definitely had, seasons where, I have had seasons of hustle. And sometimes we have to have a season of hustle to get through a particular point. We've had times where, we were renovating like 2 properties in a year and, working, like I remember, I mean, this was a number of years ago now, but, I was doing my master's degree plus renovating my apartment, my husband's house. And I was working full time in a job at a high level. I was a managing editor. I was managing about 5 to 7 staff at the time. We had a lot going on, and that was like our season of hustle, but that really served us well and set us up for success. So, sometimes we've had later in our lives as well. We've had seasons where we've had to really hustle and work really, really hard. But, now we are in a season where we really are looking towards the future and really setting ourselves up for long-term success. And that is definitely one of our goals for 2025. And we've been putting in the foundations and the framework to make that happen. And really looking forward to what that's going to make possible in the coming years. So, like I said, I think that, for us, some of the big lessons have been, number one, the one that I come back to over and over and over again, which is less but better. It is so easy to just keep adding things to our lives. But when we add something, we need to also look at what are we going to remove, because we just can't keep adding things, because we will just wear ourselves out, and we will put so much pressure on ourselves that we will self-implode. So we need to really, and to me, this is the essence of, this idea of working smarter, not harder, is really focusing on those areas that are going to have the greatest leverage, the greatest growth. And so, like I said, my encouragement for you to think about what that might be for you. The second big idea is really, and a big lesson for me, has been to really stay connected with my creativity and look at the ways that, where am I in that flow state? Where am I really feel really good about what I do? And how can I simplify all the other areas of my business? Because, I can kind of get really complex sometimes, like, oh, we could do this thing, and then with that part we do this thing and that thing, and I get so many different ideas. And so really looking at, okay, what are the things that I really want to do, and how can we simplify everything else? And then the third is to really embrace your season. And as I mentioned, we are definitely we've started to enter a new season in our life, and a really exciting one that we're really excited for, because this is such a beautiful time in our lives where we can spend quality time with our children, and we can have great conversations and hang out. And I'm playing soccer with my children and doing fun things and doing lots of activities. And so really for us, we are creating a business that can really work well and maximize our revenue, maximize our profits, and enables us to live the kind of life that is a good life. And that is ultimately what's really important for us. So I hope that, like I said at the start of this episode, this has given you a little bit of an insight into maybe some of the things that, when you reflect on your year, you think, yeah, that's actually really important for us as well, or that's important for me. And like I said, I also wanted to give you encouragement that, we have had a good year within our business, within both of our businesses. And I want you to know that it is possible. And if you set your foundations up right, if you are intentional and stay focused on your vision and stay focused on your goal, it can happen for you too, if you have had a year that's been perhaps a little bit more challenging. And I know that, some people have that, but always look at the opportunity that it's in front of you. See this as an opportunity to grow and really grow in alignment as well. All right. I wish you all the best for the new year. I wish that 2025 really is going to be the year where you feel most in alignment, the year where you really feel that life is never been better. And I really am so grateful for all of you who listen every single week, for those of you who leave reviews, for those of you who share DMs on Instagram of the episodes, or send me a note or send me an email. I am so, so grateful to have you in my world. And, it's been so beautiful to connect with some of you this year in some live events and workshops that I did. I love that so much. I'm really hoping and looking forward to creating more of those in 2025. And so I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm really, really grateful to have this connection through this microphone with you. And I wish you all the best for 2025. And just know that honestly, I really am. I'm cheering you on, and I really want everything that's wonderful in the world for you. I truly do. So let's do it. We can make 2025 amazing, and I look forward to doing it by your side. Thanks so much, and have an amazing week. All of the links and info for this episode are at nataliewalton.com/podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can get a direct download of the latest episode. And I really appreciate when you take a minute to rate and review, as well as share the love with someone you know who might benefit from this episode, or on social media. If you'd like to access a range of free resources, come visit my website, nataliewalton.com. Thank you to Jaeger Media for producing this podcast. And I would also like to acknowledge the people of the Bundjalung Nation where it was recorded, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm Natalie Walton, and you've been listening to Imprint.